YouTube. Yeah, like and subscribe. I realise I've got another 10 subs. I've got 3,600. That's pretty cool. Just looking there, got demonetized again last night, even though I was very, very, very careful not to get demonetized. I don't know what's going on. It's really annoying. So some poor sod's got to listen to me for 4 hours to say I've not mentioned anything very specifically. Yeah, so friggin' guitars, more friggin' guitars. I'm enjoying doing these Japanese guitars again. It's where my passion is. So Scott last night dropped off his white one, and I've got one as well. So this is the Boundary series, which are the cheap ones. When I say cheap, still 500, and I think this one was 500 when I bought it, and that one was 550. I think this is now 550, and that's 600, something like that. But what you're getting is a Japanese Telecaster. Not quite a Telecaster, it's a slightly pointier. But sometimes when you get like a tele or a Strat that's not quite the right shape, I find it offensive. I don't find this one offensive at all. Some will. Yeah. Yeah, so as is customary with these things, you can't really go on without mentioning circle fretting system, which both of these have. So the frets aren't straight, they're curved like this, because if you think about it, the bridge, the strings are further apart here than they are here, so the strings are all doing that. And ideally you want the strings to be going absolutely perpendicular to the frets. So because the strings are doing that, the frets are curved so that they go over. It feels nice. They tend to sound a lot... Is it in my head? Is it? Scott agrees with me. Is it? I don't know, but they do seem to sound more in tune when you're higher up the neck. Probably. It's also a compound radius fingerboard, so it's like it doesn't. I'd like a compound radius that went from like the 7 1/4 that you get in like a vintage Fender to like 10 or something like that. But these are actually kind of more sort of 10-ish. It's in millimeters, so I don't know how to do. We're still getting stuck with inches for some things. It's something like a 10 and a bit up to a 14 or something like that. So up here it's it's quite flat. It doesn't actually look flat. You'd actually almost say, looking at it, that it's more curved here, but I'm sure it's the other way around. So the idea there being, the more curved the fretboard, the easier it is for playing chords. The more flat it is, the better it is for shredding. So ideally, you can play chords down here and you can shred up here. That's the thinking. Yeah, so this is actually... This one's entirely stock. Slightly different things going on. The scratch plate's not quite Telecaster shape. I don't think it would take a Telecaster scratch plate if you want to put one on, because I think this bit here is thinner. I think an actual tele's more kind of, like, 5mm or something, but slightly rounder. This is a little bit more. It scoops a little bit bigger. We've got a... Well, it's not really... They still call it an ashtray bridge. I consider an ashtray bridge as the one with sides on it. You know the one I mean, the one you can actually clip the ashtray to the front of. So we've got a Telecaster type bridge, 6 saddles, the original FGN pickups. This one's actually wrapped in string, because strings are great. It's tone string, not just string, because that's what the 50s guitars did. 3-way switch. The knobs are slightly different from what you would normally get in a tele. They look the same just now, but if you look at that, they're actually a bit shorter and a bit more domed, which... wee things like that do make a difference. You do go, oh cool, the knobs are quite small. It's more obvious on Scott's one. It's got the black knobs, and they're not as domed, but they're basically just look like exactly the same as all the other black metal knurled knobs you get, apart from they're just a wee bit shorter, which is cool. And it's got a Gotoh Clussen type tuners. Mine. I didn't get mine new. There was a slight dink in the back of the neck, but I got it for like half the price it should have been. So I sanded it out. You can't feel it anymore, but you can still sort of see it because it's just a little bit darker kind of there. It's a satin neck. I'm not super keen on the satin necks. That's a modern thing I prefer, but it's not like a satin neck. The satin necks you get which feel like they're powdery, and you kind of expect to have dust, sawdust on your hand. It's not like that. It's fine. I'm just too used to like a satin neck being an excuse for not having to paint, not having to varnish the neck, therefore cheaper. So you get like, the really, really budget end satin neck basically means didn't bother painting it. Whereas this obviously it doesn't really suit that way. It's got Clussen type tuners, which I think they didn't bother me at first. It doesn't bother me once but stringing it up, they're a bit stiff. They are Goto, Goto, probably 50 or 60 pounds worth of tuners on it. I don't know whether that's just. In fact, there's actually a wee bit for putting oil in. I wonder if I bought oil for the electrics. I wonder if I put oil in them, it might help them. You don't notice it when you're tuning it, it's fine. It's only when you're putting strings on it, it's like, the strings, incidentally, in this are terrible. It's like, I went through, I did a video about Zico strings, which are like 5 sets for a tenner on eBay, free delivery. The acoustic strings are fine. Electric strings are rubbish. That's what these are. Also, I noticed Cardinal Sin, I must have snapped one of them when I was putting it on, because I've got like I've extended that one to make up for it. So these strings are old, rusty, and they were shit to start with. So yeah, that's what you want to put on a fantastic guitar. It's not a one-piece neck, it's got separate fingerboards. Yeah, so I'm playing through the orange TH30. The Telecaster sounds are there, so we get the bridge pickup. These strings are so dead. Neck pickup. The bridge pickup's great. Don't get me wrong, I love the tele bridge pickup, but quite often on a tele, the neck pickup's a bit shit. This neck pickup's really good as well. It's normally a bit quiet and muffled. This one isn't. It's a well paired set of pickups. Strings are so dead. And then middle position, which normally on a tele, up until this guitar really, I've always been a bridge pickup, middle position, neck pickup. Nah. Whereas this one, the middle position is great as well. So it's got 3 awesome tele sounds. Actually, I did a setup on a new, but well, I think it might have been the same age. This one is a 2019, so I'm still classed this is like one of the newest guitars I've ever bought in my life, apart from like at the start where I knew what I was doing when I bought an Epiphone SG, brand new. So this one wasn't brand new; it was used off eBay. By the time I went in to try them, which I think was 2020, I think it was like maybe 21. When was the lockdown? It was just after, or kind of during it, when we were all masked up and the guy was like with the the squishy detergent stuff, like just immediately, can I get a shot of that guitar? He's like, right, hold on. That pair of gloves and surgical masks and standing 6 feet away from the amp and all that stuff. Had a shot of it and was amazed. I preferred this one though, because the headstock on this, okay, that's not a Telecaster headstock. It's a kind of angled Telecaster headstock, whereas the one you got from 2020 onwards has this headstock, which I think is great for this guitar. Not for a Telecaster though. It doesn't look right in a Telecaster. No. So I got the best one, I think. So I went in and tried them in Merchant City, and I think the one they had was basically exactly the same as this guitar, apart from a black scratch plate. I think it's only this year that's got the white. Quite like the white. Happy with it. Would I rather have white and black or black? I'd rather have white if I got this headstock than have black and get that headstock on this guitar, not that guitar. So I'll plug in a Scots one, which has got nice strings on it. I'll talk about that for a couple of minutes and have a wee jam in. But this is the old. These are, unlike all the other guitars I've got kicking about, these are new Japanese guitars. So that one there, the Telecaster, is, these are the Boundary, which is, mine actually says on, Scott's doesn't because it's a bit newer. His is a 2020. CFS is installed in this instrument, made in Japan, and it says in below the serial number, made in Japan. It's got Mount Fuji logo on the back. It's got the wee cutaway thing. I think mine does as well. Yeah, see, so you've got your easy access. Well, basically they've cut the corner off that wee bit there, which you don't notice when you play these guitars, but you do notice when you've been playing one of these guitars and you go back to a normal Strat and you go, oh, a block there behind my hand. So, I mean, I guess it's an improvement in design. So this one, same tuners but painted black. Again, a bit stiff. Not sure putting oil in them might help them. I'm not sure, maybe Klusons are always stiff. It's just like, you know, like the Fender Japan and stuff like that. They might be exactly the same tuners, it's just that those guitars are 20 or 30 years old. So they've been 20 or 30 years of turning, whereas both of these have had, you know, I don't know, in their life, sort of 3 or 4 sets of strings on them kind of thing. This has got much nicer strings on it than mine. Yeah. So this is the Odyssey. Odyssey being S-type Stratocaster. That's Illiad being Telecaster type. And as I said, these are the boundary ones. You get the standard series, which are, I think they come in about twice the price, roughly. And they're a bit fancier. You can also get this guitar. This is the most basic of the Odyssey series. 2 humbuckers, hardtail bridge, volume and a tone, 3-way switch it comes with. This one's been modded. It's also got a Armadillo Grenadier type of wood. Grenadillo. I think I'm getting it mixed up with something that's in like cans of Rockstar and Monster. Grenadillo, so it's not rosewood, it's kind of slightly redder. It looks quite nice though. It's not like Pau Ferro, which looks shit. I know lots of expensive guitars have it, but it looks crap. It looks like crap rosewood does. Pau Ferro. This doesn't. It just looks like a slightly red version of rosewood. Whatever that is. All for looks, isn't it? Yeah. So again, you've got the circle frets. Again, you've got the compound radius. Scott didn't like the pickups that were in this, which I kind of got a bit. The tele ones are fine because it sounds like a tele. That's what I wanted. Whereas these pickups, you get this guitar, they were kind of a lower output, like more of a mid-pushy thing, so it kind of sounded more like a Strat, which is fair enough, it's a Strat, but I don't see this in C Strat, I see this in C Shredded Machine. So this has got a Seymour Duncan, it's a JB and a Jazz, something like that in it, which I fitted. Also, bought a Cortek switch, which is what's in the 2 humbucker Ibanez RGs, one of my favourite switching systems. So instead of just having, you know, neck, both, bridge, you've got bridge and then outer coils or inner coils. I will tell you. Inner coils. So you get these two, in position 2 you get the 2 pickups, so it's kind of like a Telecaster sound. In the middle, you've got 2 humbuckers. In the neck, you get this one, the neck humbucker, but instead of wired like a humbucker in series, it's wired in parallel, which makes it sound 95% like a single coil, but it's still hum cancelling. I have put switches in guitars before where you can put one switch on a humbucker and make it humbucker, single coil, or parallel wired. And the parallel wired and single coil, the single coil is a little bit brighter because but when you put the 2 of them in parallel, it just kind of it takes away the hum basically. So all 5 positions you've got hum cancelling, but you've got 2 Strat-ish sounds like neck pickup. Those are the ones you would want. You'd want them sort of middle Telecaster sound and then neck pickup sound. And as I was showing, they're talking about the knobs. So these knobs are quite low profile. They're basically just like normal knobs, apart from they're only 2/3 the height, like that. Good. I was going to say, don't like the barrel jack socket. This doesn't have a barrel jack socket. Barrel jack's a stupid socket. I hate it. I'd much rather have wee metal plate with a normal jack on it. That means it's dead easy to get another normal jack. If it does break when you're not, you can just fix it normally by scraping it or bending it with pliers or all that stuff to make it work. Whereas a barrel jack's like a sealed unit, which is a nightmare to get off because it's got a thread on it about that length. You've got to unscrew it for about 10 minutes to get the thing off, and there's nothing you can do inside it. It's like it's all sealed inside. You can try to squish it with contact cleaner, but you never trust the things. Quite a few of my favourite guitars have the barrel jack, and it's like, I'm going to no do that. Yeah, so as I said, this one's got Seymour Duncans in it. Quite a bit louder than that one. Mind you, Scott always sets his... See, I can't play guitars the way Scott sets them up. It's like I rest my hand on the strings just hit the pickups. I think I'm too much of a bass player. I think I hit them too hard, so I've got to play these guitars really lightly. But I mean, that's just annoying to me. Then position 2, which is just, you can totally hear it. You can hear how hum cancel it is. Complete silence. Middle position, 2 humbuckers. Very powerful. Position 4 is this single coil. Or when I say single coil, I mean the hum cancelling parallel wires. The neck humbucker. For me, it's like, you know, I'm very much a case of I like single coil sounds. I like for clean, and humbuckers for rock. Do a bit of both anyway, but so I would be like, clean, these 2 sounds, and then the distortion ones would be. I haven't actually tuned this one since I was playing it last night. Yeah, so as I was saying there about the tele, I was setting up an American Fender strap, the humbucker in the neck, last week before, and I thought, I'm not going to go on about the luthier telling me that Japanese Fenders are crap. Right, it wasn't a luthier, it was somebody else. You're wrong. I know someone that says this. Right, whereas I'm basing it on playing them and working on them, not what somebody told me. Different, but yeah. So I probably there's not a huge difference in feel and build and stuff like that between the American and that. Probably the Fender's a wee bit better. It's 3 times the price, but it's probably better, probably. But it's a fight in it. It's not like putting up against, you know, like a Squire, where it's like, oh, it's better. It is. It's like there's a fight in it. There's a fight in it. Yeah, so I'll stick a wee. Other clean sound. Reds. Yeah, so I was saying now that the pickups that were in this weren't bad pickups. They were just not the ones that, well, to be fair, probably not the ones I would have chosen to put in either. You know, you get different tastes of pickup, not necessarily, you know, it's like the old, you know, whatever your favourite kind of pickup you want. You know, like a set of Gibson PAF type sounding pickups, but what you've got is DiMarzio Super Distortions. A cheap set of PAF type pickups, you know, like Warmans or Wilkinsons or something, will probably sound better to you than expensive DiMarzio Super Distortions, because they sound like DiMarzio Super Distortions, and it goes the other way around as well. If you've got PAF type pickups in it, even if they're good ones, but you want DiMarzio Super Distortions, just buying Warman DiMarzio Super Distortions will suit you better. So it's like it's a taste thing, you know. Maybe the actual DiMarzio Super Distortions are 10% better than the Warmans, something like that. It costs 5-10 times as much, but you get ballpark. So I don't really want to put it down for that, which I kind of have to though. It's an annoying one. Because I instantly had no problem with the tele pickups. That was exactly what I wanted. There's also other versions of this. That's the, I'm going to say 80s metal typey thing, the no scratch plate and all that, but you do get other Odyssey series. I think they're maybe a wee bit more, maybe 50 quid more. You'll get like a scratch plate, 3 single coil pickups. It looks more like a Strat, rather than being the minimalist 1987 look guitar, like a Charvel or a Jackson or something, kind of going in that direction. Sorry, I'm just going to put bass on this just because. It's close enough to something that's tuneful. I'm of course realising that because the white guitar does have Seymour Duncan pickups in it, newer strings, and the pickups are set so close to the strings that not everyone, I hit my strings off it. That keeps happening with the J-Pax guitars and trying it, and it's like, what the fuck is wrong with this? And it's like that, because I think it's maybe just a bad habit of my own. Maybe from playing the bass, like I maybe rest my hands on the strings a bit. When I'm not playing or whatever, you kind of rest your hands on it, and if you do that, it might hit off the pickups. So this one will not be as loud. But if I leave the distortion on, I'm sure it'll probably be complete. That was a neck pickup, bridge pickup. Middle. It really is criminal having these strings on this guitar. a wee bit of a contour on the back here as well, so it's not quite as slabby as a tele. Not a huge belly cut, just a wee one. Still got the chunk on the top. Yeah, so I mean, I do recommend these. I mean, they did come out. Anderton started stocking them. When I bought this, the only place in UK that sold them was Merchant City, which is in Glasgow. So you could buy them online. And I think there was a point when they were selling off the year's models, and there was one of these black with a black scratch plate, and it was 400 quid brand new. £400 for a FGN built. And if you're it's FGN, they built all the Ibanez Prestige, all the Japanese Ibanez are made by, or I don't know if all of them are, but most of them are FGN. All the desirable fenders from the 80s and stuff all made by FGN. That's a FGN. It's an old copy of a Strat, which is a Strat, not really much of a copy. Well, it's a copy. It doesn't say Fender on it, but kind of the same and better than what Fender were making in the mid-70s. Yeah, go, shoot me. Go, tell me that your Luther says that's rubbish. Try one, see what you think. So I have tried both. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe what I paid for this. It was pure stupid. I was watching it and it was like one of those things you go up here. I don't know if it can't be Japanese at that price. There must be a con somewhere in it. You know, there must be something iffy. And it's like you're looking at it. It does say made in Japan twice on the headstock, so it's like twice made in Japan. It's actually also the same serial number system that they use on the Japanese Fenders because it's FGN and on the Ibanez. Look at the serial numbers in this work. Good. This is same factory. This is a 2002 Paul Gilbert one. F021. F19. Okay, there's a 0, there's an X. It's not quite the same. It's the same font though. It looks like they use the same thing for stamping it. Actually, I'm going to put an Allen key holder in the back of that this afternoon. That's a good idea. Just to take away some of the fear of taking it into the studio and then having to adjust it. And it's like, I don't have the Allen key for the top. Sometimes you get like a wee Allen key holder that holds it. You don't need that in a normal guitar. Only the Floyd Rose. Not that you should ever really need to tune it. So as soon as my strings come in, this is getting restrung because it's an absolute cardinal sin the way this is sitting like this. But thoroughly enjoyable guitars. If you can try them out. If you're in Glasgow, go and try them out in Merchant City. I've not tried the expensive ones, which are twice the price. But whereas that's, I think you're kind of looking at this and comparing this to like the more basic USA Fender tele, whatever the bottom of the range, 1,200 to 1,300 quid. It's fighting with that, whereas I think the expensive ones probably are more fight with the custom shop stuff. I would imagine, but you get them with much nicer, much more. The more expensive ones come as stock with Seymour Duncans and stuff like that, and a bit more binding and named wood. This is basswood, which is what Alan Holdsworth spec'd for that guitar, what Steve Vai's guitar is, what Paul Gilbert's guitar is. Oh, basswood, it's got to be swamp ash for tone. I'll take Steve Vai and Alan Holdsworth over you. Unless I could try it. I've got no problem with basswood. It doesn't give you a very good grain. You can see the grain through it, but it's kind of... It's also a couple of bits as well. There's definitely at least one join there. In fact, it's 3-piece. You can see it quite clearly in the back. 1, 2, 3. And that's what basswood looks like. So you don't get all the fancy grain patterns. That's why basswood's not as good as ash. Make any difference in sound? I don't think anyway. The tone wood debate can rage on infinitely for as long as you want. The old thing about it's like what is actually coming through the amp. If I was to record that, like put a mic, that mic that's sitting there, have it mic'd up, and play the guitar and listen to it, I don't think there'd be any difference in the sounds of the guitar. The difference would be right now, sitting here with the amp there, a lot of this, the sound is coming off the guitar like unamplified. Maybe there's a difference there. When it's nice and ringy and all that, even these strings are crap. for that, just maybe just call this video complaining about putting crap strings in your guitar a month ago and then try to do a video on it. But even at that, it's still an awesome Telecaster. You want more bite? Cut through that mix. I mean, to me, that's exactly what a Telecaster should sound like. And if you don't have a Telecaster, maybe have a wee look at it, even if it's not one of these. Teles are awesome. They're are they my favourite type of guitar? I don't know. Of the big ones, probably a Tele. Obviously you can get, would it be better having like a humbucker in the neck or something? I don't know. This is available with a humbucker in the neck. There's a few variations of this. I think you pay a little bit more. It's like an extra 50 quid or something like that for like a humbucker in the neck. But the one with the humbucker in the neck's got a different type of scratch plate. It's kind of like more like is it the 72 Telecaster, the one with the two humbuckers? So the scratch plate, instead of having the metal plate like this, the scratch plate's kind of swoopy, and I think maybe the pickup selector's here. It's that type of look of scratch plate, which I prefer the metal plate. Purely aesthetic. I mean, actually it's not as bad. I think this knob is slightly further away from the three-way switch on a Tele, because it's very common for you when if you're on the bridge and you go to switch it to the neck, you touch the volume control, because it's practically, you can't get your finger between the switch. That's just like one of the things you have to deal with if you're a Tele fan. You can obviously, it's quite a common mod to take this plate off and flip it round and then make this the volume, so the volume's here, then you've got the tone, and then you've got the lever switch at the back. I don't do that. I'm just that used to just being very careful when I'm switching not to touch the volume control. Work around it, not ideal, but the way it is. But the build quality on it is Japanese, so it's built the same as the Paul Gilbert one, all that lot. It's a FGN, and it totally just is all the way through. And I think I could tell you that if you'd hidden the headstock and you handed me, I'd never played one of these, and you handed it to me and said, "What do you think this is?" I think I would have gone, "This is a FGN guitar, isn't it?" That's what FGN, Figgin, more Figgin guitars. I think I could tell the difference. I can sort of tell a Matsumoku guitar within reason just by playing it. Just because there's things that are a wee bit different about them, and it's like obviously the quality's through the roof, as all the Japanese ones, but they've all got slight quirks. I can kind of tell Chushin guitars as well. They've got certain traits and feels that are a wee bit different from each other, just because I've played so many of them. Lovely. So buy an FGN or have a look at them. I think Anderton's have got them. I think it's $599 or something for that one, and $549 something round about those packs for these. But if you live in the past and you've got the ability to go into a guitar shop and try them, and you're going to buy a Fender Tele, try one of these first, because you're really at the situation where you can't decide whether you want a Strat or a Tele. You could pretty much buy this and that for the price of a Strat or a Tele. And even if you look, they've started to make, FGN do make Fenders. There are Japanese Fenders. They're normally, the ones that for the world market are generally funny coloured ones, so you get ones that are like purple sparkle, and the Aerodyne bases and stuff like that. They're not sort of tradition. The FGN don't make traditional Fenders the same way. You don't just get a bog standard. It'll have something fancy about it. It'll be a crazy finish or something a bit obscure looking. Yeah. Rocking. I'm quite hungover from last night. I can't believe I get demonetized again. I'm really pissed off about that. So rock on. I've been working on a Flying V all day today. Not ready to show you it yet. It was hanging in the wall. I thought, no, it's getting kept. This thing, even I consider this one I've gone mad on. So hope it works. It might do. I've not put strings on it yet. I've not wired it yet, but I've been building it in the garage with an angle grinder. So basically any solution, any problem can be solved with the angle grinder. Whether that's the best solution or not, I don't know, but it's always a solution that works. Once I've been doing something for an hour and it's not working, angle grinder somehow can be used to do this. You know, it's like, yes, I'm making dinner and it's just not working. It's not cooking properly. Get the angle grinder out and that'll sort it out. Rocking. Catch you later.